The crisp morning air carried the faint scent of pine as Theo tightened his grip on the rifle. The woods stretched endlessly around him, a canopy of green and gold dappled with sunlight. Beside him, Gus walked with a steady gait, his laughter echoing through the trees. Theo had known Gus since boyhood. They shared a bond that many envied, but envy was precisely what had driven Theo to this moment. Gus's wife, Eliza, was radiant, her smile like the sun piercing through storm clouds. Theo had fallen hopelessly in love with her, his admiration festering into something dark and uncontainable. He watched Gus from the corner of his eye as they crept deeper into the forest. The sound of birdsong filled the silence between them. Theo forced a grin when Gus turned to share a joke, but his heart raced, not with excitement, but with resolve. The shot rang out before Theo could think twice. Gus stumbled, clutching his chest as crimson bloomed against his shirt. He collapsed to the forest floor, his wide eyes staring at Theo with shock and betrayal before dimming forever. Eliza was inconsolable at the funeral, her tears staining her black veil. Theo stood by her side, feigning grief. Days turned into weeks, and Theo began to visit her under the guise of offering comfort. Slowly, he began to suggest his affections, but Eliza remained distant. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Theo approached her again. "Eliza," he said softly, "I've loved you for so long. Let me bring you happiness again." Eliza studied him with unreadable eyes before replying, "Come to me tonight, and we will speak further." Theo's heart leapt, believing her mourning had finally softened. The room was dimly lit by candlelight when Theo arrived that night. Eliza greeted him with a serene expression, offering him a goblet of wine. Her hands were steady as she poured, her smile warm and inviting. "To new beginnings," she said, raising her own glass. "To us," Theo replied, downing the wine in a single gulp. Minutes passed before the room began to spin. Theo swayed, clutching the table for support. What's happening?" he slurred. Eliza stepped forward, her serene expression hardening into one of cold determination. She gripped a long hairpin, its silver tip gleaming in the candlelight. "You thought I didn't know," she whispered, her voice shaking with restrained fury. "Gus came to me in my dreams. He told me what you did." Theo's eyes widened in horror, but his limbs refused to obey him. The drug coursing through his veins left him powerless as Eliza knelt before him. "Death would be too kind for you," she hissed. With a swift motion, she plunged the hairpin into his eyes. Theo screamed, his world dissolving into darkness. "You will live as Gus now lives, in eternal darkness," she said, her voice trembling with grief and anger. Blinded and broken, Theo stumbled into the night, screaming into the void. Eliza stood on the porch, watching his figure disappear into the shadows before collapsing to her knees, her sobs tearing through the silent night. The following morning, she dressed in black and carried a bouquet of lilies to Gus's tomb. The mausoleum was cool and silent, the air thick with the scent of stone and decay. She knelt before Gus's casket, her voice quivering. "My love," she whispered, "I have avenged you. He will live in darkness for the rest of his days." Tears streamed down her cheeks as she placed the lilies on his casket. "But I cannot bear to live without you," she said, pulling a small vial of sleeping pills from her pocket. With trembling hands, she swallowed the pills and lay down beside the casket, her breathing slowing as the world faded. When Eliza awoke, she was no longer in the mausoleum. The space was bathed in a soft golden glow, and Gus stood before her, whole and radiant. "Eliza," he said, his voice filled with sorrow, "you weren't meant to follow me so soon." She reached for him, but his form began to dissolve, his features melting into shadow. "No," she cried, but it was too late. She jolted awake in the mausoleum, her heart pounding. The vial of pills lay empty at her side, but death had not claimed her. Instead, she found herself trapped. The heavy doors of the mausoleum sealed shut. Gus's spirit lingered, his ethereal form watching her from the corner of the room. "We are both prisoners now," he said, his voice heavy with despair. Days turned into weeks, and the two spirits remained confined to the mausoleum. Eliza's grief deepened with each passing day, the weight of her actions consuming her. Unable to bear the eternal darkness, Gus made a decision. One evening, as Eliza wept in the corner, he whispered, I cannot stay. His form shimmered as he faded into the ether, leaving Eliza alone in the tomb. And so, the house fell silent, a monument to love, betrayal, and the eternal darkness of regret. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Tap the bell to stay notified whenever we post a new video. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.